Welcome, beloved viewers, to Kingdom Treasures, where we explore the extraordinary stories of faith that have shaped our spiritual heritage. Today, we're diving into one of the most remarkable accounts in the Old Testament, the story of a prophet whose departure from this world was as spectacular as his life's ministry. In 2 Kings 2:11, we read these extraordinary words. As they were walking along and talking together, suddenly a chariot of fire and horses of fire appeared and separated the two of them, and Elijah went up to heaven in a whirlwind. This incredible event marked the culmination of one of the most powerful ministries in biblical history. During the 9th century BC, the ancient kingdom of Israel was engulfed in a period of profound spiritual turmoil under the leadership of King Ahab. Israel had moved far from its devotion to Yahweh, the God of its forefathers, and had instead adopted the worship of Baal and various other pagan deities. This era of darkness and spiritual decline was not just a silent drift, but a bold departure from the traditional beliefs, heavily influenced by the powerful and determined Queen Jezebel, the Phoenician princess. Jezebel, with her strong personality and a firm grip on the royal court, aggressively introduced her pagan customs and beliefs, spreading them with fervor throughout Israel. At this critical juncture, God chose to intervene decisively by raising up a prophet from the humble region of Gilead. This prophet, known as Elijah, bore a name that itself proclaimed his allegiance and message: "My God is Yahweh." Elijah emerged as a beacon of hope in this bleak landscape, confronting the spiritual malaise that had taken root. Elijah's arrival was not a mere coincidence, it was a divine appointment. His mission was to counteract the pervasive influence of Baal worship and to stand against the oppressive regime of Jezebel, who was notorious for her persecution of the prophets loyal to Yahweh. The stage was set for a spiritual showdown, with Elijah at the forefront, determined to restore faith and commitment amongst the people of Israel. In this dark hour, Elijah emerged with unwavering boldness. Standing before King Ahab, he declared, "As the Lord, the God of Israel, lives whom I serve, there will be neither dew nor rain in the next few years, except at my word." 1 Kings 17:1. Following this proclamation, God directed Elijah to the brook Cherith. There, we witness God's miraculous provision, as ravens brought him bread and meat twice daily. As written in 1 Kings 17:6, the ravens brought him bread and meat in the morning, and bread and meat in the evening, and he drank from the brook. When the brook dried up, God led Elijah to Zarephath, where a widow and her son were preparing their last meal. In an extraordinary display of faith and divine provision, Elijah promised her, "The jar of flour will not be used up, and the jug of oil will not run dry until the day the Lord sends rain on the land." 1 Kings 17:14. But God's miracles at Zarephath didn't end there. When the widow's son fell ill and died, Elijah stretched himself over the child 3 times, crying out to the Lord. Through his faith, God restored the boy's life, demonstrating his power over death itself. The confrontation at Mount Carmel stands as one of the most dramatic demonstrations of God's power in Scripture. Elijah, finding himself alone against an overwhelming number of 450 prophets of Baal, proposed a remarkable and decisive test to prove the true deity. The challenge was simple yet profound. 2 separate altars would be constructed, and each side would prepare a sacrifice. However, no flames were to be set by human hands. Instead, the true God would reveal his supremacy by answering with fire from heaven, consuming the offering, and thus confirming his divine authority. From morning until noon, the prophets of Baal earnestly called out to their God, engaging in elaborate, fervent rituals. They danced around their altar with exaggerated movements, and even resorted to self-inflicted wounds, cutting themselves in a desperate attempt to provoke a response. Yet, despite their elaborate efforts and intense exertions, there was an eerie silence. No answer came, no fire descended. Their God remained mute, neither acknowledging their cries nor displaying any power. Elijah, with an unwavering divine confidence, and perhaps even a hint of righteous sarcasm, taunted them. He suggested that their God might be otherwise occupied. humorously insinuating that he could be sleeping soundly, busy on a journey, or perhaps too preoccupied to notice their pleas. When it was finally Elijah's turn to call upon his God, he approached with a solemn purpose and unwavering faith. First, he restored the altar of the Lord, carefully arranging 12 stones to symbolize the 12 tribes of Israel. He then took an unprecedented step by instructing his followers to dig a trench around the altar. To amplify the miraculous nature of the forthcoming divine act, he ordered the sacrifice to be drenched with water not once, but 3 times, until the trench overflowed and the altar was soaked. In a moment of profound faith and humble invocation, Elijah prayed to the Lord. His prayer was simple yet deeply powerful. Lord, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known today that you are God in Israel. 1 Kings 18:36. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Fire fell from heaven, consuming not only the sacrifice, but also the wood, stones, soil, and water in the trench, leaving no trace behind. This miraculous event was witnessed by all present. The sight was so awe-inspiring that the people fell prostrate on the ground. In unison they declared, "The Lord, He is God. The Lord, He is God," acknowledging the power and supremacy of the one true God. Following this extraordinary victory, the prolonged drought that had plagued the land came to an end, as a mighty rain fell, quenching the parched earth and bringing relief to the people. However, this triumph was short-lived due to the furious reaction of Queen Jezebel. Enraged by the events, she vowed vengeance and sought to take the life of Elijah, the prophet who had orchestrated this demonstration of divine power. Faced with this threat, Elijah fled into the wilderness, seeking safety and solace. Despite his isolation and the looming danger, God did not abandon him. Instead, at Mount Horeb, God sustained Elijah, providing him with both physical nourishment and spiritual encouragement. In this sacred and remote location, Elijah found a refuge where he could gather strength and prepare for his future missions. Through divine intervention, Elijah learned that even in times of despair and uncertainty, God's presence and support are unwavering. As Elijah's earthly ministry drew to a close, he dedicated significant time to mentor Elisha, who was chosen to continue his prophetic work. Recognizing the importance of this transition, Elijah embarked on a final journey with Elisha, taking them through significant locations such as Bethel, Jericho, and eventually to the Jordan River. Each of these places held profound historical and spiritual significance, further underlining the gravity of their journey. Throughout these travels, Elisha was acutely aware that his master, Elijah, would soon be departing from him. Despite the looming reality of this impending separation, Elisha demonstrated unwavering loyalty and determination by steadfastly refusing to leave Elijah's side at any point. His commitment was much more than an act of devotion. It was a vivid illustration of his readiness to embrace the prophetic mission that awaited him. Elisha's dedication was palpable, showing a deep understanding of the magnitude of his role and the responsibilities he was about to inherit. At the core of this extraordinary journey lived Elisha's fervent desire to inherit a significant and influential legacy from his master. He boldly made the profound request for a double portion of Elijah's spirit, a request that signified not merely a continuation of Elijah's monumental work, but also a bold expansion of it. Elisha recognized the immense responsibility and potential in seeking such a powerful blessing. Fully understanding the gravity of what was being asked, Elijah set forth a specific condition. If Elisha bore witness to Elijah's miraculous ascension, the coveted double portion would indeed be granted to him. This narrative captures the essence of a profound relationship between a mentor and his devoted protege, underscoring the enduring strength of a spiritual legacy. Elijah's journey reached its magnificent culmination through Elisha's courage, faith, and steadfast devotion. As they walked together, the miraculous occurred. A chariot of fire and horses of fire appeared, and Elijah was taken up to heaven in a whirlwind. Elisha picked up his mentor's fallen cloak and carried on the prophetic ministry with even greater power. this wasn't the end of Elijah's story in Scripture. Malachi 4, 5, and 6 prophesied his return before the great day of the Lord, a prophecy that finds its fulfillment in the ministry of John the Baptist. Elijah's life teaches us profound lessons about unwavering faith, courage in the face of opposition, and complete trust in God's provision. In our own times of challenge and spiritual warfare, we can draw strength from his example. Like Elijah, we too are called to stand firm in our faith, even when we seem to stand alone. His story reminds us that God is still in the business of demonstrating his power and faithfulness to those who trust in him. Thank you for joining us today on Kingdom Treasures. If you've been blessed by this message, please subscribe to our channel for more inspiring biblical content. Remember the words of Hebrews 13:8. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, and today, and forever.